Hello everybody, Jason Meyer here. Welcome to Sketch Club. Tonight we're going to be doing 10 minutes on the sunflower. If you're here a little bit early, you saw me working on our first one. That's an extra 10 minutes. I had occasion to work a few extra minutes after the recording was done, so I did. So, Shakti's here. Hello, hello. Be fun painting some sunflowers. Cindy's in the background taking care of everything as always. So tonight, why don't we do something just a little bit different? Rather than heading over to the iPad, why don't we drop right down to the sketch pad? All right, we'll zoom out a little bit, and then where did our There's our reference image. So this is an example. What you'll see is an example of working from the inside out. What you're seeing right now is much more than 15 minutes on here. Well, I guess, an extra 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. I lose track of time. But notice as I kept working on it, I didn't necessarily complete a single flower. I tried to leave each flower with a little bit of openness. Each sunflower with a little bit of openness. Okay, so you can watch that happen tonight. We started this with this movement right here, right? And we went with the dark and the dark, and we let the light take us around, and then we switched gray against the light to finish off. And then before the show, I put a little bit of just a suggestion of something in the background, right? Not to compete with this, but as a echo in a sense, an echo, a falling off. And there's a little bit over here I was just working on with that same sense, so it's a little bit more of a falling off, even though they're still abstracted out a bit. Okay, then let's switch these up. And so for the second one, I worked about an extra 15 minutes on it after the show, after what you'll see tonight. And this is where that ended up. So at first I thought that one sunflower was way too far over there. And then I thought, well, rather than move it in such a short period of time, why don't I challenge myself? How could I tie it into those first two sunflowers? So I used a lot of that dark silhouette that you see in the photograph, and I just stretched it over to that. And then what I did with my extra time is I came and beefed up some whites and some hard edges. And then in that silhouette in the background, I came in and really beefed up a few hard edges there too. These were the lights. So I had this, and then we had that, and I thought, is that too big of a gap? And then I thought, well, it's Sketch Club. Let's see what you can do with it. And this all started very vague. And then again, after the show, I came in and was a little bit more specific with an extra, 10 to 20 minutes on it. Okay? So hopefully that gives you an idea of what's to come. Again, I hope you can see I try not to leave things a little more open, right? Try not to close it all off, and also try to connect everything. You see how there's a single dark in here? There's just one single dark. It's all connected. Okay? Yeah, in the photograph there's some dark light, but I said, I bet silhouette will look good. Let's silhouette it. So what are you going to do with it tonight? What will you do with it? So, hey, Mr. Randy Pound. Hello, hello, hello. Miss is out tapping her feet, doing something with her feet. Maybe it's hip hop with her feet. But that's why the lovely lady's not here tonight. Probably seeing less of them as as the world shakes off its slumber and comes alive again. All right, so I think we can skip all the way back to getting started sketching. You guys ready? 5 minutes, that's good. That's where we should be. All right, let's get going. All right, let's see. Okay, so this one's up first. So we got a little more. It's got a little more room. I'll try to blow it up a little bit bigger. So notice with my gray background, I literally kind of go through the sunflower. So that helps with the idea of being enveloped by air or enveloped rather than kind of a cut out paper mache. And I don't know, I think it adds a mystery, you know, if things can emerge rather than every little thing being spelled out. And what you'll find is if by leaving some things vague, other things will look like there's more there. So it's kind of a little mind-eye game we play. Just a little pattern game. Just a little pattern game. So notice how slow I am for insisting anything to emerge. We've got two centers there of the sunflower, then this is our third sunflower over there. So I was thinking, well, we've got dark center, why don't we go gray back there, and then we're gonna have light petals against those darks, and so we'll let the background go light against that gray. Kind of inverse it at the end there. So that's just, there's all kinds of little compositional things like that you can do, and you can do them anywhere. But the more paintings you look at and the more paintings you'll do, you'll become aware of more and more of those things. And as of right now, I was trying to keep that kind of background, so not as big and meaty, so to speak, as these guys in the foreground. And the other thing you'll see here when I'm doing my petals and such, I'm not really copying per se. I may take a piece here or a piece there, but I'm not trying to copy what's in the photograph. Right? I'm just trying to design a certain value tone to literally dance across my canvas in the case of the sunflowers. I think that's one reason they're so fun, because they're pretty symmetrical, yet there's always a couple of kooky ones in there, right? If things are too symmetrical and too straight all the time, that's not too fun. You need a kooky one in there all the time. Oops, as soon as she's tapped in, yep, hip-hopping right now. There you go. There's the lowdown on the Isby. The lowdown on Isby. So as you use this stump, again, notice how I'm trying to kind of even this tone out just a bit. Right, so it's not so much dark light, but more of a constant gray. We may have little undulations in there, gradations. Undulate? Does anybody here like to undulate? I particularly like a little undulation every now and then. So that just means it can get slightly darker and slightly lighter without going like white-black. Okay? So It'll be much, much less than like the dark in the center of the sunflower. Now at the camera angle, it's a little hard to see, but with this kneaded eraser, I can get kind of a fine edge on it. Not quite a razor's edge, that's a bit of exaggeration, but pretty close. And then I can use it to carve out and draw pretty well with. And all I'm doing here is getting back to the tone of the paper. And the advantage of taking that gray all the way through is now with my kneaded eraser, I can literally like lift my light, the petals and light, with my kneaded eraser. One of the things that's going to do is it's going to create different marks than I'll make with my charcoal stick, just because of the nature of the material. So we're adding interest and variety. All right, we're going to be artists. We've got to be interesting. Got to be interesting. And if you're not ready to get a piercing, well, you better get good at these value patterns. Get good at the value patterns. Or a good tattoo. A good tattoo. I think it was it Stephen Wright who said, "I want a tattoo over my entire body of myself, only taller." So unless you're gonna get a tattoo taller than you, we're stuck with these value patterns. But the value patterns are enough. Yep, there's a grown man here sitting telling you to play with your value patterns. That is exactly what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Aww. Susan's not feeling well. Hope you're feeling better. Did you get your vaccine, I wonder? Feel better. Feel better, feel better. Cindy got the images up. I think we were a little late with that. We've had some house projects going on this week. So if we haven't been quite on our tippy toes as we have been, well, the world is opening up and trying to swallow us. So we had to bob and weave a bit. Just a bit of bob and weaving. Oh, I'm sorry, Susan. Migraine, that's no fun at all. Makes me want to talk softer. I hope you got the volume turned down. We'll have to turn down the volume for Susan. My allergies have been off the hook the last few days as well, so I don't have a migraine, but I guess it's that time of year, spring. You're welcome. You're welcome, Susan. Feel better, kiddo. Feel better. So what I'm doing with the stump here is, even on my dark, I'm opening it up a little bit, smudging here and there, right, to almost get kind of a run between the two centers. So rather than thinking of each one as a separate individual thing, think of them as something together that we're going to create a movement for. Night, Susan. Night, kiddo. My head hurts just thinking about that. So, and then what you're seeing me do here is I'm trying to get the edge of a petal that's sticking into the, you see that one sticking into the middle? I don't want to get that whole petal in light. I mean, I could, but I thought I wanted to challenge myself. Can I just make that one edge pop up rather than the entire petal? Again, just because it'll be a different shape than that other petal sticking into the middle. So this is much less about sunflowers, especially particular sunflowers, and much more about value patterns and good looking, interesting value patterns. Right? And then we're basically using the sunflowers as inspiration. As inspiration. Right? But you know, I know I'm not good enough to directly challenge nature, so I'm not going to try to do a copy that's better than the real thing. So I've got to do something that's worth my time. Right? Something I can have a little control over. Say, yeah. And if I take on nature, I don't know that that's it. Oh my goodness, was that 10 minutes? Was that 10 minutes? Oof. Alright, so while we're changing things out again, I'll show you where I got after a little more work. Wait, what happened? Ah! Where's our do-si-do? Here we go. Oops, and that's even the wrong one. Here we go. So with a little more work on it tonight, that's like, let's say 20, 25 more minutes. Maybe it was 30 minutes. That's what I ended up with. And then now when we're here, I'll just remind you, I won't get this far in the video, but this is what I ended up with some extra minutes, maybe another 30 minutes on after the video. Alright, so a little added bonus feature there. See if we can't get, there we go. Let's see, you guys probably want a reference image. How's that? How's that? So as you can see, that sunflower is all by its lonesome over there. And so this is me, you know, I'm sort of looking at the reference, but I'm not really copying. Right? I'm inventing. I figured since we're going kind of horizontally across with those sunflowers so strongly, a small vertical, slight diagonal vertical might be a nice thing to slow the pace down. Make it a bit more leisurely. And now really all I'm going to do is make an interesting dark shape to connect over to that flower. So I intentionally, I don't hop around too much, but I don't go next. I hop around some and tie back, because I find that when you do that, you're liable to come up with much more interesting shapes. I know I do. Right, and again, I wanted to get some of those shapes intersecting to have some good negative shape in that background. And I think at the end of this video, it's lost just a little bit because I'll gray that background out. But then after the video, I went back and reestablished some of those darks and got some good solid edges on a few of those negative shapes. Look how crazy that is. I just made this crazy dark mark from that one center over to this other flower. That's literally all I did. Are you guys insane enough to do that? Are you guys insane enough just to carry a dark mark across and tell the viewer, oh yeah, that's a bunch of other flowers and stuff? Oof, are you gonna look them in the eye and tell them that? Make sure it's convincing. Make sure you're going to be that crazy that it's convincing. Again, I wanted to simplify this, but I want it to be an interesting shape. So that's kind of the bottom half of that I was going to let a little bit of the light hit some of the top of that one. Okay, now in this center, what I'm doing, again, is trying to come up with an interesting shape and thinking about the petals, intersecting with that. And so I'm seemingly making a hard edge everywhere, and I am in a sense. And I'm also making some corners, so I get a good solid shape. You see how solid that shape feels? And now you'll see at some point I'll come back and smudge some of that up so that's not so clean and outlined. We want it to connect to these other darks. I'm doing the same thing here. I'm using the occasion when those petals come against that dark to make a very interesting contour. Right? That's a good place for quote unquote detail. And you'll be surprised, the viewer will be, most viewers are going to be happier if you let them do some of the work, if you let them fill some of the things in. Let's see, so we're almost half done on this one already. Man, 10 minutes. Here we go. So now we got the gray background. Why? Because if we're working with 4 values, we've got our number 4 value dark down, and that's that crazy shape that goes all the way across there. And for our number 3, our background is going to be lighter than our dark. Then we can use the tone of the paper in white to talk about those petals, those flower petals. All right, and let those guys partay. Right? People like to see a little partay. So, anyway, when I think of sunflowers, that's kind of how I think. Not wild and natural, uncombed hair, blaring in the sunshine. Kind of the carefreeness of summer. I guess are they a summer flower? I think they are. I don't know. Seems like I don't know anything anymore. We've been inside for so long. Okay, so one thing you don't want to do is be too defensive about your stuff. Alright, so notice how I ran the background really through that stuff in the middle of the flowers, but I let the darks in the sunflowers maintain a little more heaviness. Right? And so in that way I'm able to kind of bring them forward. We're going to be evening this tone out a little bit here. That's what we're doing right now. Again, so it's not so dark, dark light, but it's more of an even gray tone. And again, we want that done especially kind of in the background, because the more changes there are, the more attention's going to be drawn. And if it's background, what that means is it kind of goes away. So we don't want the viewer to really notice the background, if you will. We want them to notice the things that are in front of the background. The sunflowers, right? The silhouetted stuff tying the sunflowers together. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Look at Cindy get it done. Look at Cindy get it done. Holy moly. My bad. I was apologizing when there was no need to apologize. Boom. She just lit up a room. Talk about a wild sunflower. Talk about a wild sunflower. So what I'm trying to do is put light on the rim of one side, then come basically directly across and put it on the body of the flower on the other side, right? So, and then letting the middle in between open up. Now this isn't exact because again we've got this whole concept we're going after. But if you think in those ideas, and then if you can tie that in with the idea of parentheses, I think you'll see how this works. All right, so now the parentheses are these wild kind of white marks, but they're still holding together that black center, that dark center, that number 4 value center. And with the flower behind, my whole idea was just that it's less. And then over here with this one, that's even just a little kiss of white, just a little kiss of white. Because we want clear divisions, but we also really, as we get better and better, want to always be moving from more to less or from less to more. More to less or less to more. Right? I mean, you almost want to think about it as that's the breadth of the work. I was going to say painting, but it can be the sketch too. More, are we going more to less, more to less, more to less, and less to more, less to more, less to more, and more to less, more to less, more to... Right? And it doesn't have to be that symmetrical, but that's the game you're playing. Or it's the game I'm playing, I don't know. You're going to be playing whatever game you want to play. Alright, so what do you guys think about those sunflowers? Fans? Are you fans of sunflowers? Sometimes people are fans of sunflowers until they have to draw them, and then all of a sudden they kind of hate sunflowers. At first they can be a little frustrating, but once you kind of get the hang of those ellipses and stuff, they can be a ton of fun. Alright, have you guys had just a second to put your pencils down? Should we look at the rewind real quick? See what's up? So there's the gray going through there. And then the gray, that's going to be that last flower, evening out that background tone. Using the kneaded eraser to put in some light. Reinforcing my number 4 dark value. Alright, and then here we go again. So we're going to tie those 3 sunflowers together with that dark silhouette. Boom. That's right, I just made that up, y'all. I just made that up. Oof. Can you do that? Is that allowed? Should somebody call the authorities? I think I'm going to get away with it. I think I'm going to get away with it. All right. So Shakti says, "Wow, that was really hard." It's not easy this fast, but again, sunflowers are one of those things I like to introduce it to people really fast, because if not, I find they end up just kind of outlining a bunch of petals. And if you really look at it, they're not symmetrical or anything. There's some symmetry to those centers. But those petals, they're wild. They're wild. Kind of like my hair. So, so ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Sketch Club tonight. Thank you for joining me. What is tonight? Tonight is Tuesday, so that means tomorrow morning will be Morning Jumpstart on YouTube. That'll be feedback for students. I'll look at students' work and talk about where we might go from here and why we might do that. And then we'll have Masterworks tomorrow night. Be back here Thursday night for the next 2 sketches. And if you want to learn a little bit about ellipses and stuff like that, I suggest starting with the fundamental forms. And we just so happen to have our online course for that up on our new online school. So you can check it out. Um, if you kind of missed that, I'm going to end the program here with the website, jasonmeyer.com, and you can find out about all of our activities right there, including the reference images that we're going to use this week if you'd like to work outside, because, yeah, that was a tall, those sunflowers. Was that too much? Sorry. I hope not. All right. Thank you. You're welcome, Shakti. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.